Welcome, anime ultimate entertainment Nexus, to my react. I am actually doing 4 horror stories from Wansee Entertainment, like freaking Meat Canyon. Wansee Entertainment have some freaking horror stories that is such a freaking. They're on the dark. They actually read true horror stories that are on the web. So, let's begin.
My friends and me when we were 13 years old. Our school was really big because it was a preschool, primary, and secondary school and university all in one. Behind it was a hospital that hadn't been touched in years. It was always very strange to me since our teachers would avoid answering any questions related to the hospital. One day we had a half day and my friends, Aya, Zoe, Vincent, and I decided to check out the hospital. We were hyped and excited to get up close to it, but Vincent was hesitant. We figured it was normal since he was a bit of a rule-following nerd. We later realized that it was because of something far worse. When we got to the entrance of the hospital, Vincent started trying to flake, saying that we should go back. But we told him to calm down and that everything would be fine. We started searching the first floor, and it was pretty normal. All there was in the rooms were hospital beds, medical supplies, and surgery tables. During our whole search for the first floor, Vincent was screaming at every little sound and creak of the floor, and it was kind of annoying, but we just ignored it, hoping he would stop. When we reached the floor, a down my spine. The atmosphere was unnerving, and since the sun had set when we were on the first floor, it was now very dark. I was glad that the second floor had fewer rooms so we could get out of there. But what was strange to me, though, was Vincent. He went from screaming bloody murder at every little thing to going completely silent. I noticed it, but I didn't think too hard about it. We searched all of the rooms and then got the heck out of there as fast as we could. But as we were walking to the bus stop, Vincent passed out and he started foaming at the mouth. We were panicking and shaking him, but luckily one of our teachers was nearby and called an ambulance. We all met up again in the hospital waiting room, where he was taken when we finally were able to see Vincent. He was doing okay and looked more chipper than before. But that's when the teacher told us what happened and my heart dropped. Apparently the land our school is built on used to be a cemetery for the unfortunate patients at the hospital who couldn't be saved. And in 1978, people in the hospital suddenly started reporting unexplained phenomena like flickering, staff getting random bruises, or even worse injuries all over their bodies. Patients being woke to screaming whose source was unidentified, and more. The breaking point was the day the otherwise healthy head surgeon of the hospital, John Ken, collapsed, foaming at the mouth, and died. Even after multiple autopsies, doctors couldn't identify a clear cause of death. The hospital was shut down and left to rot in 1980 after 8 kids who were being treated in the hospital mysteriously died with hand marks on their bodies and foaming mouths. Vincent went on to tell us that he felt like someone was grabbing him when we stood in front of the hospital, and that he blacked out when we reached the second floor. As he was saying this, my mind could only think of one thing. If he was unconscious by the time we reached the second floor, then who was controlling his body?
Yeah, who is controlling his body?
When I was young, I was fascinated by the devil. It's embarrassing to think about it now, but at the time it seemed cool. I admired proclaimed worshippers to be like them. So I logged into a devil community on the internet every day and wrote posts, and then one day I was and felt like hot spilled my eyes, and something was in front of me. But he was so tall that his head reached the ceiling. His body many and his so big that he could swallow me. The heat was so intense that my vision was see clearly. He wrapped his huge hands around my body. His hands were so hot that I could vividly feel the pain of every cell in my body burning. It wasn't a dream. He said to me with a smile,
"I came here because you wanted to see me."
I screamed, and he stroked my head. Every time his hand touched my head, it burned and smoke appeared, and it felt like my brain was melting from the extremely high temperatures. He said,
"We welcome you. Be a part of evil. Then you will realize that darkness is more beautiful than light."
He opened his arms and hugged me. Then a great happiness surged within me, and the desire to worship evil arose in my heart, and I felt terrible pain and pleasure burning through my whole body at the same time. Then I opened my eyes. When I woke up, it was 5 a.m. My entire body had turned red, and it was hot as if lava was flowing inside my body. I ran to the church, even though I didn't usually go to church. When the pastor listened to me, he spoke quietly. He prayed for me. Although my mind seemed to calm down, I still could not escape the clutches of evil. That night, when I opened it was an endless red world covered in lava. The air was so hot and toxic that it was difficult for me to breathe. I heard the screams of countless people, and huge demons were running towards me with huge maces. They started swinging their maces at me, and I fought back, but when I hit them, they actually enjoyed it. In front of them, I felt like a little puppy. At that time, I remembered the prayer the pastor had taught me, and I started reciting it. As I said the words, cracks appeared in the demons' bodies, and light leaked through them. They screamed in agony. Their screams were as loud as 100 lions roaring at the same time. As I continued to recite the prayer, the monsters' bodies crumbled and turned into black ash. After some time, I woke up. I posted about my experience in the devil worship community, and people were amazed I had actually met demons. People left comments saying they too were the devil. Asked me to tell them how. I was so appalled that I immediately left the community. From that day on, I hung a large cross in my house and recited a prayer every day before going to bed. I no longer read, listened to, or looked at anything related to the devil. From that day on, the demons no longer appeared in front of me. But even now, sometimes hot smoke and ash blow in my room. Whenever that happens, I recite a prayer and the smoke gradually disappears. However, I can still smell them now. Creepy, strong smell of burnt smoke and toxic gases. I know they are around me even now, and I'm afraid they'll follow me forever.
What the fuck?
My
What
name
the
is Abby,
fuck?
and I'm 18 years old now. This story that I'm sharing is not mine. Didn't happen. I know the story well enough, so listen carefully. And yes, this is a true story. Back in 2005, my family lived in a very friendly village where all the neighbors were very kind. It was very, and since it's in Malaysia, there are a lot of cultures.
Okay. What? The second story. He just switched after his bad experience, but yeah. Yeah.
And races around her. My grandma once told my parents to hang a clove of garlic on their front whenever my mom to ward off birds from entering the house. And they did what she said when my mom was pregnant with my older brothers. But it's important to note that she never tells them exactly what might happen if they don't hang the garlic. Eventually, my grandma passed away in 2003 because of a lung disease. Time passed, and after 2 years, my mom was pregnant with me. One night, when my mom was 7 to 8 months pregnant, they went to the clinic to do some checkups on me and left my brothers with my maid. Let's call her Siti. Siti had been my family's maid since my grandma passed away. She came here from Indonesia and worked with my family as a maid. She's very knowledgeable. Cared for my brothers and soon became closer to them. My parents late and found my father sleeping, so early as they were both tired from the clinic. In the middle of the night, my mom suddenly woke up and was covered in sweat. Clueless, she tried to move, but for some reason, she couldn't move her body. She said it was like having sleep paralysis. She couldn't open her mouth, but she could move her right arm. She was too scared to open her eyes, but she felt something moving between her legs, as if someone was walking towards her, but gently. She slowly opened her eyes and saw Krasu in Malay. We call it Panangal, the mythical creature. It manifests itself as a woman, usually young and beautiful, with her internal organs hanging down from the neck, trailing below the head. The creature drinks blood and eats fetuses from the wombs of pregnant women. Since my mom got injured while she was pregnant with me, she lost a lot of blood, and the creature could smell it from a very far distance. Panicked, my mom cried and tried to wake my dad, but there was no response. She shook my father a lot, but still, he didn't wake up. At that time, she was just praying to God to save my life, as well as hers. The creature came close, but stopped when she reached my mom's pelvis. My mom shut her eyes tightly, still praying to God with all her will. When she opened her eyes, the creature was gone, and she could finally move. She saw Siti standing at the bedroom door, holding a Quran and reciting some prayers. Siti switched on the light and went to my mom to calm her down. Siti also woke my father up and told him everything. At first, he didn't believe it, but as soon as he saw how traumatized my mom was, he started to believe her. They calmed her down, and Siti then recited more prayers to protect her from the evil spirits. Slowly, my mom fell asleep. After she woke up, she felt like it was all a nightmare, but soon, reality set in when she saw a trail of blood from the front door to their bed. Then my mom remembered that my grandma used to tell them about hanging a clove of garlic on their front door. Siti told her that it's to avoid the creature smelling blood and the pregnancy, because garlic has a smell. After that incident, Siti decided to move back to her hometown in Indonesia. Maybe it was traumatizing for her too. It truly scared me when I learned about this. Even when I wrote this all down, I still got goosebumps. I don't know what really happened, but I'm sure Siti is the one who made the creature go away. Even now, my mom and I still thank God that nothing bad had happened that day. Who knows? If Siti was there, I'm not sure if I would even be here today.
I remember this event as if it were yesterday, despite the fact that it took place about 7 years ago. I was in my second year of college on a breezy Friday in the fall, and it was just like any other day. After eating breakfast, I got up and walked to school. My girlfriend, who I will refer to as Sophia, joined me on the way there, and we began chatting. Sophia was cute, and strong-willed, everything I had ever hoped for in a girl. When we got to the school, we said our goodbyes and made our way to our classes. I couldn't wait for the weekly party that was held every Friday, because the day was otherwise pretty boring. I went to meet Sophia after classes were finished, but when I saw her, something wasn't right. When I asked her what was wrong, she shrugged it off as nothing and simply stated that she was looking forward to seeing me. And with that, I lost all concern about the way she was acting. However, she gave me the impression that she was conflicted, as if she were feeling upset about something. Got to the party, I got together with my friends and their girlfriends, but Sophia wasn't around. One of them asked me where Sophia was. I tried texting her multiple times, but she didn't respond. This was strange because she usually responded right away. I thought she was too busy with her so I decided not to bother her and gave up. The party was enjoyable, perhaps a little too much so, given that I stayed until after midnight and was feeling a little sluggish. I left my friends for home after saying goodnight. With the exception of the occasional light pole, it was almost pitch black where I lived, which was in a quiet neighborhood. On my walk home, a dark hooded figure suddenly appeared in front of me, covered from head to toe in a mangled and torn black cloak. Their face was hidden by a gas mask that looked like it was from World War I. You couldn't even see their eyes through it. What scared me the most was that they were carrying a huge lumberjack's axe that looked like it had been stained with blood. After being frozen in fear for a few seconds, I decided without thinking to run straight past them to get to my house. They grabbed me, but I kicked them, which made them release me. I ran as quickly as I could, but I heard footsteps coming from behind me. Before they could catch up to me, I was able to enter my house and lock the door. When I started hearing a loud banging on the door, I decided to call the police. But before I could call for help, the hooded figure swung their axe through the multiple times and the door got knocked down. begged for mercy and inquired about their plans for me. They proceeded to take off their gas mask and hood, revealing themselves to be Sophia. She told me before I even had a chance to speak that she had joined a cult that worshipped a demon named Null, and that to be initiated she was required to kill everyone she had a close relationship with, most of whom had already been killed, and that I was about to join them. She said that she missed the party because she was busy killing her parents. After that, I could hear police sirens in the distance, and as they got louder, it turned out that a neighbor had called the police because of all the noise. This clearly enraged Sophia, so she pulled out a small knife and stabbed my left hand into the wall, preventing me from moving. 3 officers entered the house and asked her to drop the axe. She instead threw the axe at one of the officers, killing them instantly. Sophia was then tased and tackled onto the ground before being taken into custody. Sophia was convicted of multiple murders and given a life sentence. I'm telling this story because hellish things can happen instantly and change your life forever. And I hope that everyone who hears my story will be grateful for the life they...
What the? You mean she joined a cult? Have a good day, guys. Bye.